Weapons? I know I'm breaking the promise of this channel by covering a movie of this size, and I hope I don't get to do this again anytime soon, but man, the conversation around this movie is getting so out of hand that I feel an obligation to step in. No. Weapons isn't about school shootings, it's not about alcoholism, and the reading you're doing right now is most likely a reparative one. As the title says, Weapons is a conservative mess of a movie, and its clearest messages are being overlooked to have conversations that are irrelevant to the movie itself. And you've seen my videos, I'm open to idiosyncratic readings and bringing your personal baggage to the conversation. Like hell yeah, we need to talk about our emotions more, and hearing "it was capitalism all along" gets a little tedious after a while. But there is such a thing as misreading a text as well. Or at least I feel that there's a way to look at a movie and see if the conversation around it matches what's in it. You gotta build a hefty ass bridge to call Paul Blart Mall Cop a movie about anti-cosmic Satanism. You feel me? So Weapons. What's it about? Well, Weapons is a semi-recently released horror comedy about a small town that's struck with the mysterious disappearance of 17 kids. The movie is told in chapters that explore the different viewpoints of relevant-ish characters. You have Justine, the teacher of the class those kids belong to. You have Archer, a grieving parent who's stalking and harassing Justine. You have Paul, a piece of shit police officer who has a one-night stand with Justine. You have James, an opioid addict who gets abused by Paul throughout the movie. And finally, you have Alex, the only kid in Justine's class who didn't go missing. There's surprisingly little plot or story in Weapons, which kinda works, because under the hood, Weapons is more of a mid-budget drama than a horror movie. It's about people processing the event more than the event itself. Some people turn to alcohol and sex, some turn again to stalking and harassment. We all cope in our own special little ways. And then you have the two characters who are barely relevant to the greater plot, namely Paul and James, who are also the most compelling parts of the movie outside of the premise. I would have honestly loved to see the twisting and turning of their story more, because I feel that it had more to say than the rest of the narrative combined. It's still not like mind-blowing stuff, but I think it's a nuanced enough look at police brutality and how it affects the lives of everyone around it. Sadly, we didn't get that movie, we got Weapons, which is about to get a lot more complicated by the introduction of our final main character. Behind all of this is the most iconic Slay Queen character of the movie, Gladys, who's dying of unspecified reasons and is also an evil wizard out to drain other people's life energy to, not die. And that's the rub. People are bending over backwards to cling into imagery like this, but then fail to see that Weapons is a satanic panic movie. And not in a critical way, in more like a big thumbs up, I think the satanic panic was pretty correct actually way. That's pretty popular right now, so I'm kinda confused how that flew over people's heads, but here we are, I guess. So, what Weapons is drawing from most heavily is the McMartin preschool trial. For those unaware, the McMartin preschool trial was a flashpoint event in the American wing of the 80s through 90s wave of satanic panic. It began in 1983 when Judy Johnson, who was later diagnosed with acute paranoid schizophrenia and alcohol abuse, reported that her son had been sexually abused by one of the staff members at the preschool. The situation ballooned out pretty fast when accusations of zoophilia, animal sacrifice, and satanic ritual entered the fray. One of the more notable aspects of the trials were the reports from children who talked about the secret underground rooms they were taken to as a part of these ritual abuses, either through secret tunnels or by being flushed down the toilet. Now, none of this turned out to be true. No secret rooms were found, no evidence of molestation was corroborated, and for a long time the whole case was considered to be an interesting case of hysteria-fed false memories. Sadly, as conspiracy theories became political fodder for conservative parties around the world, but especially for the Republican Party, this dust got kicked back in the air, and here we are again, talking about it as if it had any merit. and you can probably see the parallels already. Kids in basements controlled by a satanic older lady who sourced them from a school. It's not being subtle. There's some other adjacent conspiracy theories in the mix, most notably spirit cooking / adrenochrome, that was made popular by the Pizzagate conspiracy and later picked up by QAnon. In a roundabout fashion, both are conspiracies about older people harvesting the youth to live longer, usually by drinking their blood. If you're seeing connections to blood libel, yeah, it's not like these beliefs are unconnected. You might also notice that this is the major theme of the movie: parasites. But even beyond the conspiracies, Weapons is kinda gross. It's a movie that overtly justifies paranoid parents taking justice to their own hands for one. Archer never gets confronted about his harassment, and as he's one of the protagonists, I think we're meant to see him as a slightly flawed but ultimately correct character who only did what he did because he loves his son so much. Justine, on the other hand, harlot that she is, named after one of Marquis de Sade's famous characters I'd imagine, never even gets an apology for what was done to her. She's not that important, you see? Also, I can't be the only one who picked up on the homophobia surrounding Marcus as well. Like, there's only one guy who we see kill anyone in like a villainous fashion, and it's a married gay man who kills his husband and turns into the closest thing to a monster in the movie. Great stuff, glad we're getting a sequel to this. And before anyone pulls out their trap card that no, actually that was a part of a bigger metaphor being weaved through Weapons, where symbols of institutions are weaponized against concerned citizens. First off, clever, but then again, what's James symbolizing? The big addict? And second, these two aren't mutually exclusive points. You can both be homophobic and be a part of a bigger metaphor. Anyways, I want to keep this relatively short, so I'll cut myself off here. Are there things to like about Weapons? Sure. I think the premise is pretty compelling and the turn it takes towards drama is where it's at its strongest. I don't agree that it's a good mystery though, because for me at least, Evil Wizard Did It isn't compelling mystery storytelling, but who am I to condemn other people's tastes? I just kinda figured we all agreed on the conclusion of Hbomberguy's Sherlock video more, but okay, I guess. The reason I wanted to make this video is that I feel a lot of people are building their arguments backwards. I've seen a bunch of videos on Weapons that start from provocative reading like, it's about school shootings, then point to an image or two, waffle on for 10 to 15 minutes, and conclude without making a strong point. Most of these arguments are pretty obviously wrong too, like, say in most school shootings the kids don't just come back to life, you know? And that backwards logicking is what I want to get across. I feel as video essays come more and more of a casual pastime, the more we want to intellectualize ourselves on liking something, which is great, I love that, but we also must be critical. And critical in two ways. Critical of the art we consume, and critical of the way we think about them. Let that idea ferment, question it, think about other approaches, be a contrarian for intellectual challenge, because that's the way we get better criticism, better analysis, and better understanding of the art we love, or in this case, don't love. Alright, that's it. Part 3 of the Autobias series coming whenever. Peace.